lesson. I believe we're on episode 6 of chapter 3. And we're going to just throw you at some percents here. Getting into some familiarity with percents. Specifically, we're going to kind of play with percent, fraction, decimal concepts. We're going to kind of play those together. Again, percent, by definition, kind of means per hundred or hundredths. So, per hundred kind of means out of 100 or hundredths. Like on your place value, it's the second place past the decimal. That's our hundredths place. Also notice that in your percent symbol, I don't know if they meant this intentionally, but notice how it has like a numerator-denominator symbol here. It's got a numerator-denominator. So percent kind of implies this fractional concept. Also, you notice it's like a 1 and 2 zeros, so it's like 100. So there's a lot of meaning in this little symbol. So it kind of means numerator-denominator. It also means 100. So your denominator should be 100. So if I give you 35 out of 100, that's exactly what we want, because this converts straight into a percent, because percent is all about being 100. So 35 out of 100 represents 0.35 as a decimal, but it also represents 35%. So a fraction, a decimal, and percent all can represent the same value. So 35% as a decimal is 35 hundredths. As a fraction is 35 hundredths. So all those go hand in hand. If I look at 75%, now I'm giving you a percent. By definition, 75% means 75 out of 100. Or 0.75. Because remember, percent means 2 places past the decimal. So 75 hundredths or 75 hundredths written as a decimal. So again, percent kind of means to write as a fraction or a decimal. We also learned that all you really got to do is move the decimal 2 places and add the percent symbol. So like here, if I give you 0.75, if I move the decimal 2 places to the right, stick on a percent symbol, that puts me back to a percent notation. Also, a little sidebar here, 75% means 75 out of 100. And don't forget that fractions can be reduced to lowest terms. I can divide a 25 out of each numerator and denominator, and 25 will go into 75 3 times, 25 will go into 100 4 times. So 75 hundredths is really the same thing as 3/4. So as a percent, we have 75%. As a decimal, we have this 0.75. As a fraction, we have this 3/4. They all represent the same value, just in a different form. Let's look at changing a couple of fractions to percents. So if I have 3/5 and I want to change it to a percent, one way of doing it is to just change it into a decimal. So if I divide 3 by 5, that would give me 0.6. Now, remember, it's all about 2 places. So if I move the decimal 2 places over and stick on a percent symbol, that's going to give me 60%. So 60% would be the same thing as 3/5. Your calculator actually has a key that will change a fraction straight into percent. So talk to me about that if you want to learn a little bit more about the calculator. Another way to do this problem is if I can change the fraction to have a denominator of 100, I can transfer it into a percent notation that way. Well, what can you take 5 of and get 100? Well, 5 20s would be 100. But to keep an equivalent fraction, if you multiply the bottom by a 20, you must multiply the top by a 20. That's going to give me this new fraction of 60 hundredths. And 60 hundredths would also be the same thing as 60%. So if I can just rename the fraction so it has a denominator of 100, that's another nice strategy. Let's see if we can change 45 out of 50 to a percent. Again, one way of doing it is just changing to a decimal. So 45 divided by 100 would be 0.9. To do a percent, you've got to move the decimal over and add on the percent symbol. So that's going to end up being 90%. And that should make sense because, 45 out of 50, that should be, to you, very close to 100% if you were on a test. 45 out of 50 questions right should be a really high score. it would actually be a 90% if we did the math. Another way of doing the problem is, if I can change that denominator to 100, I can make child's play out of this. So how many 50s does it take to get 100? We would say that if I just double a 50, multiply by 2, multiply the numerator by 2, I'm going to get 90 out of 100. So 45 out of 50 is equivalent to 90 out of 100, which in turn we can transfer into a 90%. So as we move on, you're going to see there's a really good relationship between fractions, decimals, and percents. And again, when we work with percents, it's all about that 100.